Boyfriend says it's normal to leave me after he's finished. So, my 22F, I've been dating my boyfriend, 22M, since 2 years. We have sex often. After he orgasms, he'll either sleep or do something else. I go and satisfy myself on my own. He's not bothered. When I spoke about it the day after sex, he says it's normal and no boy continues after he orgasms. I don't expect sex right after, but some attention to me and my body. He sounds like a selfish jackass. Sex should never be about just one person getting off, that's what masturbation is for. That's ignorance at best, laziness and or gaslighting at worst. Tell him you want more from him. Well, that's selfish. And if no fun continues after his orgasm, then he should be doing everything he can to make you orgasm before he does. Since he doesn't do that, I'd say he's selfish. There are plenty of men out there who care about their partner's pleasure. Find someone who thinks the opposite and see how good that feels. He needs to make you orgasm before he come, if he don't want to continue after. If he doesn't make any effort, especially after you talk to him about it, he's a jerk. Also, we are all different, but I need some cuddling after sex from my boyfriend. If there is no cuddling and showing affection, it's like having FW been not a boyfriend. Let me start with I'm sorry you're experiencing this, that's awful. He is 100% wrong or just lying to you. I know for me personally what turns me on the most is having a girl's come all over me. I want to be covered in it, I want to taste it, I want all of it. That's what gets me off. However, if I do end up somehow getting off first, I will not stop until she does. There's nothing sexier than knowing you just gave the girl you're with an amazing orgasm. Knowing you were able to make her feel like that should be a turn on for a guy. Not true, he's BS. If my girl wants more, I'll eat her till she comes. She has full body orgasms and gets really sensitive after coming, so we have a little ritual. I eat her, get her hungry. We fuck. She sucks me off for me to finish. I eat her pussy and finish her. I'd never ever leave her. I rather not orgasm myself and please her then leave. Why does no one talk about women's anal orgasms? Growing up, I always assumed I was supposed to hate anal sex by the way it was talked about. I recently found out that I can have orgasms anally, and my orgasms have been so much more intense since. I feel like more women should know about this. Yup. My husband always slips fingers in when he goes down on me. He does like 3 things at once. I don't even understand it, but anyways he does it, and guy have super intense orgasms. I'd cry. Is weird. It's like if I'm not aroused, don't even try to slip anything in, lol, but aroused it's insane what it does. Trippy. I can barely have an orgasm from vaginal sex unless my partner stimulates my clit, but when we have anal sex I orgasm almost immediately without having to stimulate clitoris. I agree with you that this topic should be talked about more often and no one should feel ashamed of themselves for liking anal. I think I had a positive first experience with anal. My first boyfriend was casual about it and was just like and what, I wanna try ? And what, and I didn't really stop to think that it might be painful. I also didn't watch porn or talk about sex much, so I didn't get that information load of and what, it's gonna suck, women hate it and what. When I hear friends about it that dislike it, most, if not all, had bad experiences with it. Their partners were whiny or pushy about it, or they had it at a time when they already heard it might be super painful. I really think a big part of it is the mental state and expectations. I mean, let's be honest. We've all shitted out bigger logs than the average penis, and those don't hurt either. And what, she's in a wheelchair, you can't have sex with her and what. So I overheard these guys on the train on my way to uni talking about how one of their Tinder dates was in a wheelchair and that sex was immediately off the table for him. Made me realize we're never really taught how disabilities affect the way we have sex. Not trying to be insensitive, but how does sex with someone with a disability differ from sex with someone without a disability? Is a disability a deterrent for you, or if you have a disability has it been an issue? Sadly, the time for good discussion on this topic appears to be at an end, as the recent comments have turned into a dumpster fire. As such, this post is now locked. Sadly, the time for good discussion on this topic appears to be at an end, as the recent comments have turned into a dumpster fire. As such, this post is now locked. One of my high school exes was wheelchair-bound his entire life. We never got to intercourse, but we did lots of other stuff and I was looking forward to sex. Things weren't a lot different than with someone else, I just let him take the lead on positions and what we did. We stayed friends for a long time after we broke up, and this guy had plenty of women of his life. He had a baby when I met him and had a couple more by the time we lost touch. So he was getting plenty of action. And I had a female acquaintance was in a wheelchair and was heavily into BDSM. She did have to be very careful about who she played with, so she did a lot of play in public while she vetted partners before playing privately. She could feel her legs, she said, but she felt sex and was multi-orgasmic. But she did seem to find trouble finding long-term partners. I can finally lock my door, so I can masturbate in peace. I'm 19, and live with my family. My parents are pretty cool, they have always been very mindful about how they're raising us, but there's one thing they're horrible at, and it's giving me privacy. Privacy basically doesn't exist in this house. Now, after many years of fighting, they finally gave me the key to my room. Now I'm going to masturbate, and I locked the room, so now I don't have to get dressed and jump out of the bed in 3 seconds whenever I hear someone coming upstairs, because they can't just come in. I'm so happy. Lucky, my bedroom opens to my kitchen with no lock, yet I still masturbate when they all out there. I fear nothing. My mom walked in my room when I was masturbating as a preteen. I'm pretty sure that was the last time she walked in my room without knocking. I bought a lockable door handle, but now if it's locked my mom asks why is the door locked? Facepalm. I masturbate with my roommate in the next room if he has headphones on. And quat, fear not the man who has masturbated behind 1,000 doors, but the man who has masturbated behind the same door 1,000 times. I said rough, he said okay, and slapped me in the face. Hooked up with a guy once. I'm not vanilla and I can confirm that he is definitely not vanilla. We talked a little bit about what we like, and I mentioned that I like it kinda rough, like ass slapping, scratching, hair pulling, choking, biting, or if I trust my partner, being tied up and using handcuffs. Not anything that crazy, though. Well, he definitely took rough into consideration. The sex was going fantastic. He went a bit hard on the biting and choking than I was used to, but nothing I couldn't handle. Out of nowhere he just leaned back and slapped me in the face. Not that hard, just enough to startle me. And startled I was. I laid there for a second and processed because I did not expect that. I was like, and quat, oh shit, and quat, well then, and quat, did I like that? And quat, then he did it again and quat, okay. No, don't like that. And quat. Lamau, that was a whole new experience, and once I determined that I didn't like being slapped, I said so, and he never did it again. Plot twist, turned out he just got out of prison for identity theft too. Edit. On a more serious note, for those of you that are concerned that I was abused, thank you for worrying, but this was not a case of abuse. I told him I like rough and that was pretty broad. Rough can be decoded differently, depending on how someone defines rough. The first time having sex with someone is always a learning curve, and even many times after that as you sexually explore with your partner. This was one of those learning curve moments, and when I determined that I didn't like it, he didn't do it again when I asked him not to. It didn't hurt at all. Now if I told him to stop doing that, and he kept doing it, or if he straight up gave me a black eye, then that's a whole other story, and I'm sorry for anyone that has had to go through real abuse/sexual abuse. Thank you all for looking out. Okay, but while reading this I heard "no, don't like that" in exactly Michael Scott's voice, and I just about bust my gut. Plot twist, turned out he just got out of prison for identity theft too. Are you sure it was him? Not going lie. Your post got me laughing so hard. Man, I needed a good laugh. Appreciate it. A guy I matched with on Tinder wants to take my virginity, but insists on not wearing a condom. This isn't normal, right? I decided that I'd lose my virginity with a random guy from Tinder if I hadn't had sex by 18. Well, I turned 18 a few weeks ago and matched with a pretty hot guy. He knows I'm a virgin and, since I'm on the pill, heavy periods, and says he was recently tested, doesn't want to wear a condom. This kind of goes against what I've been taught in school about safe sex. What he wants isn't normal in the real world, is it? Edit. Thank you all for the responses. I wasn't expecting this thread to blow up. I put my foot down as advised and told him that I'm 100% not having sex without a condom. That changed his mind pretty quickly and he's agreed to wear one now. I'm going to his place in a few hours' time when he gets back from university, so have plenty of time to take a shower and redo my hair and makeup. I might update this post tomorrow, depending on how things go. I went over to his place a little after 1800 hours. He lives in student accommodation for my city's main university and is a year older than me. Reading some of the replies I got sort of freaked me out, that he might stealth me or I might be murdered. So I took a few caps from a bottle of vodka I had in my car to try chilling out first. I walked the final stretch after this and sent him a text to say that I was outside. He came down to let me in, then led me up to his room. He poured us both some drinks and we started off cuddling on his bed as we sort of watched the TV, talked a little bit and he played with my hair. After a while, we started kissing and he was feeling me up. I was definitely nervous about getting undressed. I'm very petite, 5 feet 2 inches and fluctuate around 105 pounds, small boobs, etc., but pushed past this. He gave my tits so attention first, which was a confidence boost, before moving on to oral. This felt amazing. He seemed good at it and was attentive. It lasted for maybe 10 to 15 minutes, but I couldn't come, probably just nerves. His clothes started coming off at this point and I saw he had an amazing body too. I've given blowjobs to 2 other guys at parties before, so knew what to do next to get him fully hard. He loved this but stopped me after a couple of minutes to lay a towel down on his bed. I was feeling a bit awkward about bringing up that he needed to get a condom at this point, but he ended up grabbing one himself before I had to ask, which was a huge relief. He might have seen me staring as he put it on, just to make sure, haha. He was very slow as he first put it inside me, but I definitely felt something tearing and there was more blood than I'd expected, having spoken to a few friends. I got over this after a little while and started to enjoy myself a bit, despite still feeling somewhat terrified. He had me in a few positions to see what I liked the most with a few variations as well, pillow under my back. Some of these felt fantastic, but I still couldn't come. Again, I presume this was just nerves. This lasted quite a while actually. Before he worked out I probably wasn't going to finish, He asked me to finish him with head. I saw him tie off a positively intact condom at this point, so I definitely wasn't ghosted. He gave me a little tap just before he came, which I decided to spit onto the towel. He offered me oral in return, but I wasn't really interested because I probably wouldn't finish, which might make him feel bad. We ended up having a few more drinks after I quickly peed. Thanks for the tip, whoever that was, cuddled and he played with my boobs. I was too drunk to drive home afterwards, so ended up taking the bus. I'm glad to have finally lost the virgin label, and the experience was actually pretty good. It was great that he didn't try to push condomless sex on me, since I really wouldn't have known what to do at that point. He actually turned out to be a good guy. It definitely would have been better if I finished, but I honestly think this was just my nerves getting the better of me. I reflected on everything this morning and have no regrets. Always insist on condoms, especially with an unknown/casual partner. I always felt when a man tried to sidestep using a condom with me, he tried it with all his partners, which made him a higher risk in my eyes. And if I had to ask more than once or he continued trying to talk me out of it, he was not longer a potential partner because I was afraid he might sneak the condom off. But yes, it is not unheard of in the real world, but doesn't mean you have to go along with the foolishness. Plenty of other guys are perfectly willing to wear one. No, it's not. If he's not going to respect your needs, keep searching. First time squirting and there is no going back from here. My boyfriend and I have been together for a little over 8 years. Our sex life has always been great and we have just clicked from the beginning chemistry-wise. When we first started having sex 8 years ago, I was adamant that I could only finish when on top or using a vibrator. This is still mostly true, but some walls have definitely been torn down. Due to life, one of my parents has been living with us in our home for 2.5 years, resulting in having to sneak and be quiet after having years of a very healthy, adventurous sex life. We make it work, but I had been getting nervous that we were losing our sexual chemistry because of our environment, age. Early 30s plus 8 years deep into a comfortable relationship is much different than being 18, wild and carefree lol, and life stressors in general. I snacked on an adult Rice Krispie and hopped into bed, anticipating quiet Sunday night sex after a few junk TV shows because it had been a couple days. But tonight, for the first time ever, I squirted. All over. So is sleeping on a towel on top of our sheets because who TF just gets up and does laundry at midnight? Intense fingering with 2 fingers and massive amounts of foreplay, and all of a sudden I lost control and opened my eyes to see what was happening. Just so much. It's been a very long time since I've felt sexually vulnerable due to something new. So many emotions. Embarrassed? Turned on? Happy? Grossed out by the mess? All in all, I'm pleased, and I think so is too. He apologized that it took so long to figure this out. But how could I expect him to know this about me if I didn't and was insistent it couldn't happen? It's a first for both of us, which is not something we often share because we both have had multiple sexual partners previous to our relationship. Huge turn on for me. What I hate the most is I know why it happened for the first time tonight. For the first time ever, I made a conscious effort to stop thinking about everything under the sun during intimacy. I get so distracted by anything. I mean anything. What will I have for lunch tomorrow? Type thoughts. Instead, I forced myself to just think and focus on what was happening in front of me. Then about him coming on me. And boom. I will never go back to overthinking again. Not sure if it's the post-squirt high or the edible high. But I needed to tell someone, so I brought my rambles here. Smile. If anyone makes it through this novel, what other things can be tried when having a noise restriction? Great timing. My wife is 60, went through menopause 5 years ago, has had problems with dryness, thin vaginal walls, etc. And then she started hormone replacement therapy, and sex has never been better. Yesterday I massaged her pussy a long time, including her mons veneris, outer labia and inner labia, and then used our purple jackrabbit vibrator to let her finish. And after she came, intensely, she said, and quat, I think I just squirted. And quat, she said she felt something pleasurable when she orgasmed, followed by a release of liquid. We found a large puddle of wetness right below her pussy. She knows she didn't pee. Squirting for the first time at 60? Holy fuck. Congratulations. I had my first and last squirting experience few years ago, with a guy I didn't know very well, but with whom I had a very good sexual chemistry. I'm not even sure how it happened. I think he was just so persistent he crossed the magic line. I didn't even come. I was never able to reproduce that again. My husband thinks kissing is gross and I feel sad and resentful. I've been married to my husband for 15 years and I'm beyond frustrated. The most I've received kissing-wise since our wedding is the rare peck on the lips. Before we were married he kissed me with tongue and it didn't seem to be a problem at all. A few months ago I brought it up and would not let it go until he told me why, and he said he just thinks sticking his tongue in someone else's mouth is gross. French kissing was always one of my favorite things when I was single and turns me on a lot. I feel sick thinking I'll go to my grave without a proper kiss for the rest of my life, and I feel like he tricked me since he pretended he liked it before we were married. I feel stuck because I can't make him do something he doesn't want to do, but kissing someone else would be cheating. Ugh. Couples therapy. I'm so sorry. I went on a date with a guy who was like this and I felt very rejected, even though he still wanted to have sex and everything. I ended up tapping out and leaving. Kissing is essential to me. Personally, I might as well not bother with sex if there's going to be no kissing. Feel the same way. 15 years married. Saw a kissing scene in a movie and told my wife that I guess I will never be kissed like that ever again. She said never say never. But the reality is that she does not kiss